Hello, everyone. Nice. This is great. So I'm seeing people both on Facebook and people on Maker Circle that have joined us, which is very exciting. Let me start from the beginning. And the beginning is hello, everyone. My name is John Lincoln. I am the founder of GoImagine. Started this company during the pandemic in 2020 alongside a number of friends of mine, many of which you already know, which is Stephanie Romke, who joined us way at the beginning to help grow the marketplace. And I always like to say that on top of doing customer service and doing customer support and everything else, Stephanie is the one who makes us look pretty. All of the graphic design, all of the look and feel of the website and all the marketing, that is all Steph Romke. So I give her credit for all of that. If I was in charge of the graphic design, everything would be stick figures. So very happy that she joined us way at the beginning to make us look so professional. So for today, we're going to be looking back into 2023, give you some statistics, give you some idea of where we've been over the past year. And we're going to look ahead a little bit on some of the plans we have moving forward with GoImagine that hopefully you all like to see. Hopefully you all agree with the direction we're taking things. So let us go ahead and start with, I would say, the real basics here, which is who we are and what we provide. I know for most of you, you already know all of this, but we always have new community members who are joining us on any individual meeting. So, just a quick introduction. GoImagine, most of you already know, is a handmade marketplace. We are handmade only, we are USA only. And the big thing for our company is we donate 100% of our profits to charity. Now, along with that, we've focused greatly over the past few years on building more than just a marketplace. We've really focused on building a handmade community and a handmade platform to bring makers and artists together into a online world that helps you build your online handmade business. Also gets the handmade community together to just discuss the trials and tribulations of running a handmade business. That's through Maker Circle, which some of you are on right now, which is our free app that you can download on the Android or iOS App Store. And that's also where you can access Maker Business Academy. That's our academy that allows you to learn more about how to build your business. That is run by Sarah Sewell, who is an expert in the handmade business world. And she's constantly doing shop critiques, teaching you seasonal things to pay attention to, things like charm pricing, things like, how to build your brand. All that sort of stuff is all in the Maker Business Academy. And then Mosaic, which many of you know or probably use already, which is our version of, I'd like to say, Shopify or Wix. It's a more affordable way to have your own online store online, which is connected to our marketplace. So everything's posted in both. So anyway, for those interested, these are really the main four offerings from GoImagine that we're doing to not only build our community, but also provide more services to our members. Now, the question is the direction we're going. And I'm going to start on the buyer side, and then we'll also talk about the seller side. Like any company, you're most likely always thinking, what's the next step? What is the next thing that you want to do to differentiate yourself from the competition? Or what is the next thing you're going to do to get noticed by your audience, or shake things up a little bit, or maybe get more traction or more business in general? And so over the past few months, we've been discussing a number of different ideas that we wanted to do moving forward. One of which we did a test. We did a test in Q4. I'm sure many of you saw that we did regional gift guides. And those regional gift guides were a way for people to shop local in an easier way. The idea being here that a lot of gift guides that you see in the world are product oriented. And what I mean by that is you often see, the top 20 kitchen gifts for Christmas, the top 15 necklaces for Mother's Day, the top 20 grilling items for 4th of July. And it's always based on the product. And you open up a gift guide and you see all the soaps for 2023 or whatever it might be. We decided to do a different approach to our gift guides this year. And that approach was shop local. So rather than being product oriented, we were location oriented. And you probably saw we had our New England gift guide. We had our Midwest gift guide. We had our Pacific Northwest gift guide. And these gift guides were based around giving people the opportunity to browse products of all different categories, but around a region, giving the buyers the ability to easily shop local and find people in their communities or within the state they're in, like not too far away, keep things a little more central. Um, Shop local definitely seems like there's a little bit of a movement going on right now with that. And I think the reason is most platforms right now are global. Whether you look at Amazon or Etsy, you look at eBay, you look at Wayfair, you look at any of these, Temu, Shine, and what you find is these buyers, when they shop, have no idea where the product's coming from. You might get the product from Vietnam, you might get it from the Philippines, it could come from Brazil, maybe it comes from Florida. You have no idea oftentimes unless you dig into what you're buying to actually figure out where it's coming from. And there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, these are massively successful companies, and clearly not everybody cares about where the product comes from. But I do believe, and I should say, we believe that there is a contingent of people that, along with shopping globally, they would like the opportunity to sometimes shop locally. And so we're in development right now. What we're going to be doing is, I want to say in the next month or so, is we're going to be updating our search filters, both after you do a search and when you first enter the website, that allows buyers to shop by location. Right. So when they're searching, they can say, I want to search for scented candles, and everywhere, it doesn't matter where I want scented candles. The other option is I want scented candles, but I'd like to find scented candles in Massachusetts and Connecticut because that's where I'm from. And what that's going to allow these buyers to do is start to browse and shop local makers and artists. Now, that does not mean they're not going to shop all over the country as well. We're still fairly local, being USA only. And the reality is, if they don't find something they want locally, they most likely will buy it anywhere. But we believe this is something that buyers might dig into because now they can, in an easier way, search and find products that are close to them, uh, that are from makers and artists that are in their communities or within a state away. This I think is going to offer a few other benefits as well. One benefit I think it's going to provide is shipping costs. So for makers who are shipping locally, the cost is going to be less. So instead of having a shipping price from California to Massachusetts, people in California are buying from candle makers in California, and people in Massachusetts are buying from candle makers in Massachusetts, and the shipping costs are going to be down, which means also emissions in the environment side of things will be in a much better spot. Now, along with that, um, we believe that this is an opportunity for smaller networks to be created. And what I mean by that is, let's use a random state. Let's say Idaho. I see Idaho on the list here. Let's say makers and artists in Idaho rally around this idea. And so makers and artists in Idaho join GoImagine because they know the Idaho filter is going to bring them up. And then buyers in Idaho really find out, for whatever reason, that they really want to shop from local makers and artists in Idaho. Well, now you create a network in Idaho of makers and artists in Idaho being found by buyers in Idaho. And that gets a flywheel effect going within that state of people purchasing and buying and selling within GoImagine. The same is true for every state around the country. So this is something new that we're going to be coming out with later. I want to say this month, but probably in February, where this filter is going to come out. And then we're also going to be having shop local campaigns start for marketing, telling people they can, come to GoImagine and shop local and shop handmade on our site. So that's one big thing that we're working on. The other thing we're doing in terms of our messaging and our strategy is we've been thinking through our charitable messaging and how we can update that messaging in a more cohesive way. And being a platform for makers and artists, we were thinking that it would make more sense for us to start focusing our charity also on children in need, but in the art space. So, really working with children's art charities. Up until now, we have been focusing on just helping children in need. And what I think we found in the response we've gotten is that the word children in need is very vague. What children in need? Who's in need? Where are they? Who are they? What are their needs? And it's so broad that it makes people not understand, who we're giving to and why. So we're refining our message that we're going to be focusing specifically on children's art charities and helping support children through creative and art expression that are underprivileged. Now, that could mean a number of different types of children's art charities, some of which could be just children in communities that are underprivileged or are more poverty stricken, that these kids just don't have access to the arts. They don't have access to creative expression in a way that I think all children should get in terms of growth. And so there are charities that are doing that help, and we're going to be trying to support them. Another art type children's charity we see a lot are for children that are sick, kids that are in hospitals. There's a lot of children in the world that are suffering from cancer, or they're suffering from debilitating diseases, and they often end up in hospitals. They end up in medical offices, and they live, I would say, not your traditional kid's life, but there are a lot of children's art charities out there specific to helping these children still get a sense of normalcy through art and expression and art therapy in these medical establishments. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to focus more makers and artists in the United States helping children through art is kind of the idea. So our message is going to go a little more towards helping children's art charities. Now, along with that, um, there's one more thing we're going to do with these children's art charities, and is that we're going to get to the point. And when I say get to the point, maybe in the next quarter, the next few months, where we're going to select a number of children's art charities around the country, and then allow the vendors to choose the one you want to support with a percentage of the sales you make on GoImagine. Now, this is just an example. For anyone who's watching the recording of this, I do not want you to take to heart that these are the final charities we're choosing. We're in the process of researching charities around the country that we are going to support with this campaign. Um, some of these, I mean, may very well make it to the final list. But the example here is I have 8 charities, all from different states. You got Art Cares for Kids in Florida. You have Illinois Art Station in Illinois, Color Outside the Lines in Oregon. So there's 8 different ones here as an example. These aren't the final list. But the goal that we're going to do is that once we have our list finalized, we're going to have our vendors be able to choose the one they want to support. And then 1% of every sale will go to the charity they choose. So as you already know, GoImagine is donating all profits to charity. So all the profits we make go to charity. But we felt that it'd be nice to let the vendors also decide a little bit more on where you want to see a little bit of the money that you bring in goes to, right? So out of that 5%, as you all know, we take 5% of every sale, unless you're on an older plan, we take 5%. Out of that 5%, 1% is going to go to the charity that you choose. That's on our predetermined list. This is a little bit, if you remember, Amazon Smile. Amazon Smile did something like this. They only did 0.5%. They didn't do as much as 1%. So we're doing double what they did. But I've always liked that concept where those who are selling and buying on a platform are also supporting charities that they care about. We're going to start with maybe just 8 of them because we don't want to spread it so thin that we're sending pennies to every charity. But the goal would be, as we grow as a marketplace, we eventually maybe have a charity in every state. And who knows, maybe we get so big there's a charity in every community someday that vendors are allowed to choose. And now, as a vendor, you can have different reasons of why you choose the charity on our list. Maybe you just want to choose the one that's local to you. You're in California or you're in Massachusetts and you want to choose the local charity. So every time you make a sale on GoImagine, 1% of that sale is going to the charity that you chose. Maybe you do it by cause. Maybe cancer is a cause that is very close to home with you. And so you want to support the one that's helping children in cancer wings of a hospital with art. Maybe even though you're in Massachusetts, that charity happens to be in Illinois, wherever it might be. So the whole idea of choosing a charity is going to be tied into the new messaging around children through helping children through the arts. And the last thing I'll say on this topic is that ideally there's a flow through with all of this strategy. What I mean by that is shop local, which is the idea of makers and artists locally being found by buyers locally. But then as we grow, charities in each state being supported so that local transaction also can help that local charity. So what you start to see is a vision of local charity, local vendor, local buyer, all working together to create a better online economy of people buying, selling, and helping children in need through the arts. So that's kind of the whole idea there. That's what we're going to be working on over the next month or two, that we're getting our charities in place. We're getting the development in place for the shop local. And then we're going to have campaigns in place to start the marketing for all that. So hopefully those ideas are ideas that you all like in terms of the direction we're going with shop local and with children's art charities, and eventually letting your vendors choose which one you would like to see your sales support. So now let's go ahead and move on. And let's talk about real quick the new dashboard. A lot of you have used our new dashboard. A lot of you know that it's been a little bit buggy. Most of it works, but there's definitely been a few quirky things that people have been having complaints on. Good news is we just did a new deploy last night to fix a number of items. What you're going to find now is the cloning of products is working much better. So some of the quirks happening with clone before have been fixed. So if you see anything wrong with clones, let us know, because cloning should be working better. Fetching of categories and custom shop categories is much faster now. We've fixed the ability to sort by price on the product catalog. We've fixed the ability to delete quantity discounts. Long story short, last night, a lot of fixes went out, and we've already got right behind that a number of more fixes queued up to go out. And the hope is in the next couple weeks, we're going to have a lot of these final buggy things ironed out. And so the new dashboard will be the dashboard. Now we're not getting away, the old dashboard is not going away right away. For anyone who likes the legacy dashboard, you'll still be able to get to it for the time being. But we will be making that transition at some point in the not too distant future, where the primary dashboard is the new one and the old one will become the one you can log into separately if you really want to get back to it. So hopefully everything you've seen so far with the new dashboard you like, and know that we are working feverishly to get these final bugs ironed out so that it's a good experience for everybody. So that is underway. All right, let's talk about some numbers. Everyone always asks numbers. I've got a few slides here that'll talk about our growth in 2023. First thing I'll tell you is that we have officially crossed over the 6,000 active members mark. So we now have over 6,000 active sellers on our platform, which is a fantastic, I think, milestone. 6,000 is one that is not insignificant. And these are active, paying subscribers to our platform. So I always, when you think the number 6,000 in the online world, it's always like, all right, that's okay. But when you think about 6,000 actual people, actual humans, in if you put them in a stadium, you maybe like a tennis stadium or something, and fill it. 6,000 people is a lot of people, and it's an exciting number. And so our goal going into the year was to hit 6,100. We got to 6,023 so far, so we're right on target of what our goal was at the start of 2023. So that's very exciting. And then when it comes to sales, how much is actually sold through our platform, we are up 28% from the year before. And that's also a significant number as well, especially because most of the e-commerce industry has gone down. If you look at the numbers for Etsy, for eBay, for Amazon, e-commerce in general has stayed flat or gone down. And there's really, people say, two big reasons that's happened. One is inflation. People are buying less. Everything's gotten more expensive. The other thing is that pandemic bump is over. So there was that period of time where everything was bought online because you had to buy everything online, which was a pandemic. They call it a pandemic bump. But now that everyone's back in the real world, less e-commerce sales are happening than they were during the pandemic. So most e-commerce companies that saw a ton of growth in the pandemic years have actually seen decline in 2023. So the fact that we've gone up 28% when everybody else has stayed flat or gone down is a good sign for us, and that we are going the right direction, which is very exciting. Growth in general is very exciting, but to have 28% growth when everyone else has been going down, I think that's especially exciting. Now, along with that, talking about social media, and I want to give credit to Stephanie, who's here, who handles our social channels. We've been seeing a lot of growth across all the social platforms. Two of the ones that we focus heavily on are Instagram and Facebook. And in 2023, we saw a 250% increase in our Instagram following. We went from 2,500 members to 9,000 followers in 2023. And in Facebook, we're now at over 14,000 followers, and we saw a 100% increase. So we more than doubled our Facebook following in 2023, which is exciting. As you can imagine, most is female. We don't target any specific gender, but the majority is female. And the majority is between the ages of 35 and call it 55 is the majority of our following. So those numbers are not surprising. Seeing so much growth of followers over the year is pretty exciting as well, though. Now, in terms of traffic to the site, this is for anybody who's in our Facebook group or Maker Circle. I think comes up a lot. It's not surprising. People are always asking, what is GoImagine doing to drive traffic? Is GoImagine growing with traffic? Are you bringing in more buyers? Because at the end of the day, as a marketplace, sellers naturally want to know, is the marketplace growing? Are more people coming to the site? So the answer is yes to all of that. The good news is last year we had almost 800,000 visitors to our marketplace, which is a sizable number. Combined, that was over 1 million sessions. So over 1 million different times people were on our website over the course of the year. The big thing to point out, though, which I have the arrows here, is that compared to the previous year, on average, we're up 240% increase year over year. So what you're seeing here is this dotted line is 2022, and the solid blue line is 2023. And you can see the delta that from one year to the next, how much more traffic was coming to GoImagine from the year before. So when you're considering and comparing statistics like this, most companies want to compare them year over year, not month over month. Trying to compare November to October just doesn't hold the water, because at the end of the day, November is a busier month than October every single year, right? Now, comparing November of this year to November of last year, that's the important number to compare. And after you've got a few years of data, you can do that. That's why what you're seeing here is such a big increase in traffic from year to year. That's what you want to see, and that's what's really exciting to us, is seeing such a big spike in traffic. And if things go as, knock on wood, they should go this year, we'll see another spike in more traffic this year. Now, that said, I think, let's see, I'm just looking at some of the comments here. So a lot of people also will ask, what is GoImagine doing to market? GoImagine needs more traffic. You'll hear the naysayers out there, say GoImagine has no traffic. Nobody goes to GoImagine, or GoImagine's not as big. I mean, Etsy's huge and GoImagine is tiny, and it's all the poo-pooers that are out there. So this slide I wanted to share because it's something I've been thinking about, and it's the fact that everything's relative. And what do I mean by relative? It's the fact that if a platform has 1 billion visitors every month, that's fantastic. They're a very busy site. But if they have 1 billion sellers, well, in the same breath, those sellers are not getting much traffic because that traffic is being split up among so many sellers, right? It's not like if there's 1 billion visitors, they're all visiting every single shop on a platform. They're just going to the platform and maybe visiting 1 or 2 shops, right? So I think for the maker community, there are some people, I'm not generalizing everybody, but there are some people that I think overlook the relative nature of not just how much traffic a site gets, but how much competition for the sellers is on that site, right? And that's what this next slide's all about. The fact that, okay, Etsy gets 1.5 billion visits. Well, over that 3-month period, October to December, they got 1.5 billion visitors, right? This is through SimilarWeb. Anybody can go to similarweb.com at any time and look up a website and see what they estimate the traffic at. It's not exact, but this is where I pulled it from because anyone can do it. So Etsy got 1.5 billion visits from October to December, and GoImagine got 435,000 visits. So on the surface, yeah, GoImagine is doing terrible, awful. I mean, it's not even a drop in the bucket for GoImagine, the amount of visitors Etsy gets to GoImagine. Um, so when you look at just those numbers, the automatic reaction is like, yeah, GoImagine is so far behind. Now look at the next column. Etsy has 7.5 million sellers to GoImagine 6,000 sellers. And if you want to extrapolate it out by products, I would say we have probably 100,000 plus products, while, Etsy probably has, 100 million products, whatever it might be. So the number that really matters here is the third column, the average traffic per seller, right? Now, Etsy still has us beat. Etsy's a fantastic company. They've been around, 18 years. They do a ton of marketing and they've had time to grow. But right now, the average seller on Etsy got 202 views during that 3-month period, October to December. The average seller on GoImagine during that same period got 73 views on GoImagine. Now, yes, Etsy beat us, but for a new marketplace that's only a few years into growth, the fact that we're even registering, I think, a good amount of traffic per seller when compared to what everyone is, I would put as the industry standard, Etsy at 202. I mean, quite frankly, this excites me. I mean, this to me is, I think it should excite everybody. The fact that if you're a seller on our platform, you are getting the traffic near, half the traffic of what you would get if you were on Etsy for as being an average seller. That doesn't mean everyone's going to buy from you. That's up to your price point, your pictures, your product, your demand, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many more factors involved. But I think from a company standpoint, when we hear from a lot of those naysayer makers who say GoImagine doesn't advertise enough, GoImagine doesn't have enough traffic, this is what matters. Now, if we had 12,000 active sellers, 20,000 active sellers, 50,000 active sellers, well, if the traffic per seller stays the same, we're still in good shape. In fact, the more sellers that join us, the more we can spend on marketing to drive that traffic. Because there's no secret, the fact that the more makers on our platform, the more money we have to market. And the other thing I'll talk about in terms of traffic is that this came up in the Facebook group, and I think I replied to it, is the fact that organic traffic comes to platforms because of content. And what I mean by content is content could be anything. It could be blog posts, it could be landing pages. But in the world of marketplaces, content is products, it's product listings. So if you have 100,000 products on a marketplace versus a million products on the marketplace, the one with a million products has more content, which is more SEO juice, which means more people finding products on the marketplace through Google and through Bing and through other places. So the more makers that join us, the more content gets put into the engine, the more buyers find us, and then the loop keeps going, right? So while I'm super excited about the fact that, with 6,000 sellers and about 100,000 products, we're seeing, significant results on traffic, it excites me even more that the more makers and artists that join us, the faster our growth is going to be, and the faster we're going to see the handmade world come around to the fact that there's a new place there's a new sheriff in town. How's that sound? Um, so that customer demographic in Colorado is very different from most states. Yeah, I was just seeing something about the yeah. So with the shop local, keep in mind that the shop local, um, It's all relative as well. So it's actually this is actually for sus and for love peacefully. Um, I agree with you. There'll be less shop local traffic, but you know what else? Sus and love peacefully, you have less competition. If there's 100 soap makers in California, there's three in the rural area, right? So those in California shopping local are going to be browsing 100 or 150 soap makers. But for those who are shopping local in the Midwest, they're going to shop from the three or four that are there. That's actually kind of it goes along with this slide I'm on right now, right? Less competition, less traffic, less competition, right? And personally, if using that same theory, I think I'd rather be in a rural area, not rural, but like, in one of those smaller states, because if I have less competition, I become known as the local wreath maker or the local whatever it might be versus being in a state where I have 100 competitors. And please keep in mind that just because we're giving people the opportunity to shop local doesn't mean everybody's going to, right? People are still going to go to the site and search for a product. On top of that, it's important to know that after our results, which you're going to see when we develop this, um, after it shows the shop local results, there's going to be a section that says and from elsewhere. So people can still continue to browse outside of that search. Um, so that's a big thing to recognize as well. And when it comes to feeding into like Google Shopping, where a lot of our traffic right now comes from Google, there's no filtering there. So a lot of your traffic, a lot of the traffic coming to our sellers right now is from someone going to Google and typing in they want, lavender soap, and then you come up in the shopping results, which has nothing to do with the location, right? So, um, I think the theory for us is this will be a benefit to sellers and buyers, but it's not going to be a hindrance for those who don't care about shop local. Um, so those are just the thoughts there. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to see what happens in terms of the shop local option. More than anything, though, and this is probably important to recognize too, um, is the idea is that this is going to get more traffic in general to the website, right? Because as we get known as a place that you can easily shop local, um, and by local within the state or within a few states away, you can shop within the Midwest or whatever it might be. So we'll certainly see. Um, all right. So back to the it's all relative, which kind of ties in together. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess it's all statistics, but it excites me that we are registering in the same world as Etsy in terms of traffic, right? Traffic per seller, we are registering in the same stratosphere as Etsy. Now, if this number was if this Etsy number was 5,000 traffic per seller and the GoImagine was 2, I think we'd be way off. But the fact that we are in the neighborhood of Etsy in terms of traffic we're driving to sellers, it's pretty exciting. I mean, obviously that's a good standard to live by. Now, when it comes to growth, I've brought this up in the past. So those who have been here for a while have seen this before. But for those who are new, I like to mention it that we of course appreciate when you promote your GoImagine or your Mosaic shop, because you're helping us grow. Just even if it's your own private website on Mosaic, by promoting your shop on our platform, you're helping us grow. And I think it's important to recognize that's exactly how Etsy grew. As much as today people talk about Etsy having a $500 million budget for marketing, well, that's only because they're 18 years into their business. When they started in the first 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the reason Etsy became Etsy was because of the buyer, or because of the sellers. And in fact, this is a direct quote from the past CEO that was in their public filings, where he said, our remarkable user growth is due to sellers promoting their own shops. And now that's encouraging to me because you know what? Sellers have shown they can do it. Sellers have shown that when they band together, they can take a platform, shoot it through the roof. That doesn't mean that we're not working our asses off doing it for you, right? We're spending every penny we can on marketing. We're shaking trees wherever we can. We're doing everything we can to bring in the traffic. But I think it's important to recognize Etsy was not going to be Etsy if it wasn't for the makers helping them, right? And that's just a simple fact. Etsy did not make the handmade community. The handmade community made Etsy. That's what happened. Now, there could be debates around, well, now Etsy's turning their back on the handmade community. That's a whole nother issue. But the reality is, the reason Etsy grew to where it was is specifically because the handmade community all decided together at some point that Etsy is the platform we should help grow. And so they did it. Um, and whether it's us or whether it's another handmade platform, this isn't a GoImagine thing. Um, I think it's very clear in the world that makers are yearning for more viable handmade platforms, right? I think that's just across the board. You go to any forum, people wish there was an alternative to Etsy, or people wish that there was another handmade platform that was big, right? Um, but the only way it happens is if they support it. That's the fact. You know, uh, otherwise the platforms are going to come and go, come and go, come and go, and makers will sit on the sidelines and they're going to say, "Well, I'm not going to join until they're big." And then they're going to come and go, and it'll be a vicious cycle. The good news is for Grow Imagine, we're growing. I'm excited about our growth. I think we're pretty solvent, so we're not going anywhere. But in the same breath, we could grow a hell of a lot faster if makers, banded together, right? And so this is certainly my call out to the community, saying, listen, we've got the platform now. We've got traffic growing. We're proving it day in and day out. We are proving it. And I have those dreams that at some point makers are going to start to realize this is the one we should all get behind, because this is the one that not only can take off and be the next big handmade platform, but is also ethically and morally sound, that's helping children in need, right? So for those who are new, we hope that you join that mission, or even maybe you're not a member yet. Maybe you're someone who's considering joining. We hope you join our mission, because I think we're on to something special, and it's with the maker community supporting us that we're all going to succeed together. So there you have it. Um, Now, in terms of helping promote, Steph Romke, who I've mentioned a few times here, is developing marketing templates. So, Steph, I know you're in the group right now. At some point in the upcoming month or two, we're going to be releasing marketing templates to make it easier for you all to create your own marketing. Um, I want to say documents, marketing swag, whatever it is. So Steph will be releasing this at some point in the near future. So for those who have been asking for marketing collateral, here's some samples. There's going to be a lot more than this, but it's all going to be stuff that you can use to obviously market yourselves, but market yourselves with some good branding and some GoImagine branding as well. So that will be coming out in the not too distant future. Um, One thing to mention, and some of you know this already, every Wednesday at 1 p.m., I show up in Maker Circle live. We call it our office hours. And in this office hours, which would have been today, is the opportunity for me to just talk with everybody. For those who have been to the office hours, you already know that it's not very formal. It's me kind of just blabbering on, but really more than anything, the office hours on Wednesdays is for everyone to get to know each other, and then to answer any questions. Any new members can ask questions that are tactical. How do I create a product? How do I create a promotion? How come my shipping is broken? Whatever it might be. Or can just be talking about our mission, the future, where we're at. So just a reminder, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I am here live on Maker Circle, not on Facebook, but on Maker Circle. And you can join and talk to me and ask personal questions. And we can talk about, the mysteries of the universe together. So yes, every Wednesday, 1 p.m., be here or be square. Now, along with that, many of you know we are located in Worcester, Massachusetts. And that's why, on top of having Maker Circle and trying to appear virtually here live, we are doing local maker meetups. So we once a month have been doing maker meetups in Massachusetts, central Massachusetts. If anybody is ever in Massachusetts, we would love to have you visit us. They are either educational ones where we're getting together to help teach local makers how to build their online business. We just had a holiday party in December, which was great. And we're doing some socials where people just get together, where makers can in person get together and get to know each other. So that's something else that kicked off in 2023 and are continuing into 2024, where we are doing monthly local maker meetups that anyone and everyone's welcome. This is not just a Go Imagine thing either. Anybody who just wants to get together with local makers is always invited to our meetups. We are doing them in conjunction with the Creative Hub, which is a local nonprofit in Worcester for the arts. So the Creative Hub and Go Imagine have partnered together to put together these maker meetups. Hope you all at some point get to Massachusetts and meet us in person. Something else in 2023 we did, which many of you know, some of you don't, is we implemented our Handmade integrity team. This is something where as a handmade marketplace, we want to keep the integrity of it being handmade. Now, with that, the word handmade can be ambiguous. People disagree on what handmade means and what is handmade or what's not handmade. So last year, we put together a handmade integrity team amongst makers on our platform that all represent different types of styles and products so that we can have a team that's unbiased, help continue to determine what the word handmade means to Go Imagine, and also decide in some cases if a maker qualifies or doesn't. And if they don't qualify, we'll have to move them off or not accept them. So we're really excited about the 12 members currently in the Handmade Integrity team. Over time, this will rotate. So it's not always going to be the same members. But the idea here is that Go Imagine is not the arbiter of truth on handmade. Go Imagine is here to support the handmade industry, but we are not the handmade industry. So by having a handmade integrity team amongst our members allows us to say, you know what, you all decide what handmade is. This is not our decision. We are here to lift up the handmade world, but we're not here to decide what is and is not handmade. And so I'm pretty excited about this. On a personal note, I'm excited about this because, quite frankly, I don't want to make that decision, because everybody disagrees and then I get yelled at. And I just want to have a great platform for handmade and let you all decide. So, very thankful to all of our Handmade Integrity team members. I want to appreciate you all for being here and helping us. And let's keep the integrity high in terms of what's handmade on Go Imagine. Another thing that we have not forgotten about. This came up early last year. We did have intentions of getting it done last year, but it did not get done, mostly because we've just been working on 1,000 other things. But we still plan on board representation coming to our members. So on top of the Handmade Integrity team, where our members are contributing to Handmade, we do have plans, most likely this year, to have our community elect a couple of board representatives to be on the Go Imagine board of directors. The reason we want to do that is because we want there to be full transparency to our membership on the company, right? Now, I'd like to think we already are transparent. I mean, this meeting alone is transparent. I mean, everything I'm discussing right now pretty much is discussed in the board meetings on the direction for shop local, the direction for charities, all that sort of stuff. That said, when you're a vendor on a platform, not just a handmade platform, but you could be an Uber driver, you could be an Airbnb seller, you could be a DoorDasher, whatever it is. The reality is these sharing platforms, the vendors don't get much representation in the corporate level. And that's why vendors are frequently taken advantage of by these platforms. So for us, the idea is if and when we get around to doing this election, getting some of our members to vote in their own representatives, it's pulling back the curtain so that our members can trust that what we're doing publicly is also what we're doing privately. Right? Because there's been too many instances in the world where a corporation says one thing to the world, but behind closed doors, they have different plans. right? And that's not the relationship we want with our makers. We want an open and transparent and trustworthy relationship with our community. And that's why we're going to be opening this up to have members on our board. Haven't gotten to it yet. It's still a promise I'm making to you that there will be board members on our board from the maker community. It just is logistics. Uh, just trust me now that no decisions have been made that, other than what we're talking about already. But we are going to get to that point because we definitely believe our members deserve to have a seat at the table. And so you're going to be getting that at some point in the hopefully not too distant future. And the final thing I'll say, and this is, I believe, the most important thing. And I know a lot of you have heard me talk about this before. For any new members or people considering joining, this might be the first time you've heard it. But for everything we just discussed, our strategy for Shop Local, our strategy for the new dashboard, having board seat members or the traffic stats and all this different stuff. The reality is there's a specific reason we started this company. And that reason is because we believe the world needs more ethical online platforms focused on social good. I mean, that's really the crux of it. It's that we believe there's an opportunity that with these networks, obviously for us it's a handmade platform, but the principles we're applying to running this business could be applied to any business. It could be applied to eBay. It could be applied to Airbnb. It could be applied to Lyft. It could be applied to TaskRabbit or Instacart or any of these connecting marketplaces. And the idea there is to build an online economy that does good for everybody, right? It does good for the vendors. It does good for society. It does good for the buyers. And yeah, it does good for the people running it, right? Like, while I don't make an income yet at GoImagine, I hope someday I will get to the point where I'm getting a good salary, right? It it's not about becoming billionaires. The American dream has been bastardized over time, where it's gone from being your own boss, picking yourself up from your bootstraps and having a good living to becoming a billionaire and the next Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. We're on a mission to do things very different. And and I believe that when we prove to the world a model like this works, where you can donate your profits to charity and run things ethically, it will spread. This won't be the last one. We will be maybe the handmade platform doing this, but the hope is that the maker and artist community is going to show the world this can happen across all the online economy. I mean, imagine while we're focusing on profits going to children arts charities, what happens when there's an Uber that comes out that gives its money to help cure cancer? Or what happens when an Airbnb comes out that's to help the environment? Or what happens when there's an Instacart that comes out, but it's focused on natural disaster relief, right? So at the end of the day, this concept we're working on is transformational. Yes, it's small right now. It's a little seed that's just starting to bloom. But my hope is that the handmade world, all the makers and artists in the country, eventually start to notice that this is more than a handmade platform. This right now is an opportunity for makers and artists to show the rest of the world how things should be done, right? This is more than just another handmade marketplace so you can, sell your crocheted goods. This is an opportunity to eventually show all these other vendors of all these other platforms there's a better way. And that better way comes from banding together. That better way comes from everybody working together to make this happen. And that's the only way any movement works, right? If you look from the dawn of time to now, any movement from the public, it's always been two things: those in power versus the numbers of people. And it's always been that way. Those in power, the select few in power that have all the money, make all the decisions. But things only change not because the other people have the money, it's because they have the numbers. It's the people. and they all band together and say, we want to see it different. And that's what GoImagine is about. That's what we're working towards. And right now, I know I'm preaching to the choir because those listening right now, you're all part of it. You're all the ones that are helping us prove to the world there's a better way. And for those who haven't yet, I hope you join us. And for those who are supporting us, I hope you tell more people, because the more that join us, the more money we're going to have to market it, the more money we have to build the platform, and then the faster we will grow to become what I think we all want us to be. So, with that said, I want to thank you all, as always, for being here. Your support, whether it's $2 a month or $10 a month, your support is hugely valuable for us to reach our goals and fulfill this mission. So, I mean, I get choked up sometimes seeing that there's 6,000 people already. But you know what? There's 600,000 people out there just like us that want to see the same thing happen. We've got to get to that 600,000. We have to get to those people to show them that our handmade dreams for the online economy can come true if we all band together. So, in any case, thank you, everybody. I know I get on my soapbox a little bit whenever we have these meetings, but it's important to me for everyone to recognize really why we're doing all this. And that's why. So, thank you, everybody. I can't answer questions. It's already been almost an hour, but I hope we can get to any questions you have. And as a reminder, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we are here. Please join us then. And thank you again for your support, and have a wonderful day. It's going to be a great 2024, everybody. Bye.